Imagine this, a man who had spent years believing he could never be a father, living with the weight of that assumption every single day. He had built his life around it, his choices, his relationships, even the way he saw himself were all shaped by the idea that fatherhood wasn't in the cards for him. Now picture this same man sitting across from a woman he barely knows, staring at 3 children who look eerily familiar. His world is about to shatter and rebuild itself in ways he never thought possible. This isn't just a story about unexpected twists. It's about identity, family, and the truths we bury deep inside ourselves. Let me introduce you to James Carter, a name synonymous with success in the business world. As the CEO of one of the largest tech companies in the country, James has always been driven, disciplined, and laser-focused on his goals. But beneath the polished exterior lies a man haunted by something deeply personal. Years ago, he and his ex-wife went through countless tests trying to conceive, only to learn that James was infertile. It broke them both, but they moved on, or so he thought. Fast forward to today, and James is remarried to Eleanor, a brilliant, an ambitious woman who shares his passion for work and ambition. Their marriage is solid, though childless by choice, or so everyone believes. What no one knows is that James still carries the ache of knowing he'll never hear Dad called out to him. Then there's Maria, the quiet maid who has worked in James' sprawling estate for over 6 years. She keeps mostly to herself, focusing on her duties while keeping her private life under wraps. To James, she's just part of the background noise of his busy life, a dependable employee who does her job well and doesn't ask questions. But what if I told you that Maria holds a secret big enough to change everything? A secret tied not just to her own life, but to James as well. You see, Maria isn't just any maid. She's someone whose past intersects with James in ways neither of them could have predicted. The moment everything changes happens on an ordinary Tuesday afternoon. James is working late in his home office when Maria knocks softly on the door. Normally, she'd simply leave whatever she needed to deliver and slip away without disturbing him. But today feels different. When James looks up, he sees Maria standing. They're awkwardly clutching the hands of 3 young children, 2 boys and a girl, all wide-eyed and curious, staring at him like they're seeing something they've waited years to find. At first, James thinks maybe they're lost or visiting someone else in the house. That's when Maria says the words that stop his heart cold. "Mr. Carter, these are your children." You can imagine the shock, the disbelief, the sheer chaos that follows. James stumbles over his words, demanding answers, while Maria tries to explain. The kids, sensing the tension, cling to each other nervously. How could this even be possible? James had accepted long ago that infertility meant no biological children. Yet here they are, undeniable proof that somewhere along the line, life took a detour he never saw coming. And now, as pieces of the puzzle start to fall into place, James realizes this revelation will ripple far beyond just Hemet, will touch Eleanor, his employees, his reputation, and most importantly, the lives of those 3 innocent children. As the initial storm settles, more questions arise. Who is Maria really? Why did she keep this hidden for so long? Did she act alone, or was someone else involved? Was James misled, or did he unknowingly play a role in this tangled web? Each question pulls tighter at the threads holding his carefully constructed world together. Meanwhile, Maria seems torn between guilt and determination. She speaks haltingly about how she ended up raising the children on her own, hinting at circumstances beyond her control. Her voice trembles as she pleads with James to understand. Though understanding feels impossible right now, what makes this story so compelling isn't just the dramatic twist, it's the humanity behind it. These aren't just characters caught in a soap opera plotline. They're real people grappling with emotions we can all relate to. Betrayal, confusion, longing, and hope. They're universal themes that strike a chord regardless of where you come from. For James, this discovery forces him to confront parts of himself he thought he'd buried forever. Can he step into the role of a father after believing it was off limits? Will he resent Maria for withholding the truth, or will he find room for forgiveness? And what about Eleanor? How will she react when she learns her husband has 3 children he didn't know existed? The suspense builds as James begins piecing together fragments of memories from years ago. There was a brief period before his diagnosis when he dated casually, occasionally meeting women during business trips. Could one of those encounters have led to this? If so, why didn't anyone tell him? Why wait until now? Maria hints that fear and desperation drove her decisions, but the full picture remains frustratingly incomplete. Every answer sparks new questions, drawing James deeper into a mystery that challenges everything he thought he knew about his past and his future. Meanwhile, the children themselves become central figures in this unfolding drama. They're not just pawns in a larger game. They're flesh and blood individuals with their own feelings, dreams, and fears. Watching James interact with them for the first time is both heartbreaking and hopeful. He's clearly overwhelmed, yet there's a flicker of something in his bizarre mix of curiosity and protectiveness that suggests he might rise to the occasion. But parenting isn't learned overnight, especially for someone unprepared for it. Will he stumble, or will he grow into the role fate has thrust upon him? As the scene shifts back to the present, the tension reaches a boiling point. James demands DNA tests to confirm the unthinkable, while Maria insists she wouldn't lie about something this monumental. The kids, sensing the gravity of the situation, retreat into themselves, unsure of what tomorrow holds. Eleanor, blissfully unaware of the bombshell about to drop, calls James to check in, adding another layer of complexity to the situation. How will he break the news to her? Can their marriage survive such a seismic shift? And what about Maria? Does she expect financial support, recognition, or something more? Just as things seem poised to escalate further, the video cuts off, leaving viewers hanging on the edge of their seats. What will the test results reveal? Will James embrace his newfound role as a father, or will resentment cloud his judgment? And perhaps most intriguingly, what secrets is Maria still keeping? The unresolved tension sets the stage perfectly for the next chapter, promising even more twists, emotional revelations, and moments that will make you rethink everything you thought you knew about family, trust, and second chances. So buckle up, because this is just the beginning. In the next episode, we'll dive deeper into the fallout from this explosive revelation and uncover truths that will leave you questioning whether anyone truly knows the people closest to them. Stay tuned, because the best stories are the ones where nothing is ever quite what it seems. As the days pass, James finds himself caught in a whirlwind of emotions he never anticipated. He spends sleepless nights staring at the ceiling, replaying Maria's words over and over in his mind. The kids, Samuel, Lucas, and little Lily, are like strangers to him, yet there's something undeniably familiar about their laughter. The way Samuel tilts his head when he's curious, or how Lily scrunches her nose when she's thinking hard. It's unnerving, like looking into a distorted mirror that reflects pieces of yourself you didn't know existed. Every interaction with them feels heavy with meaning, as if each moment is testing whether he's capable of being the father they need. Maria, on the other hand, becomes both a source of frustration and reluctant sympathy for James. She reveals fragments of her story, bit by bit, painting a picture of a young woman who found herself pregnant after a fleeting relationship with a man she barely knew, a man who turned out to be James. At first, she tried reaching out to him, but fear held her back. What if he didn't believe her? What if he rejected her and the baby? So, she chose silence, raising Samuel alone while working tirelessly to provide for him. When Lucas and Lily came along years later, born from brief encounters during James' frequent travels, Maria kept them hidden too, convinced it was better this way. Her guilt weighs heavily on her now, but so does her determination to give her children the life she believes they deserve. Eleanor remains blissfully unaware of the storm brewing beneath her roof. For now, James has managed to keep the secret from her, citing work stress as the reason for his distracted behavior. But cracks are beginning to show. She notices the late-night pacing, the missed dinners, the way he zones out during conversations. Their once solid marriage starts to feel fragile, like glass teetering on the edge of shattering. Eleanor isn't blind. She senses something is wrong, but she doesn't push, not yet. Instead, she watches and waits, her own fears simmering just below the surface. Meanwhile, the DNA test results loom large over everyone involved. They're scheduled to arrive in 3 days, but those 3 days stretch endlessly, filled with tension and unanswered questions. James oscillates between hope and dread. If the tests confirm what Maria claims, then everything changes. He'll have to face not only the reality of having children, but also the implications for his marriage, his career, and his sense of self. On the other hand, if the results disprove Maria's story, then what? Will she disappear again, taking the kids with her? Or will she fight to stay, forcing James to confront uncomfortable truths regardless? The subplot involving the children adds another layer of complexity to the unfolding drama. Samuel, the eldest, is old enough to understand that something monumental is happening. He's protective of his siblings, wary of James, and fiercely loyal to Maria. He doesn't trust easily, and why should he? His entire life has been built on uncertainty, moving from place to place, always adapting to survive. Lucas, the middle child, is quieter, more introspective. He observes everything, filing away details without saying much. And then there's Lily, whose innocence shields her from the weight of the situation for now. To her, James is just another adult, someone new and strange, but not necessarily bad. Watching these three navigate their shifting reality tugs at James' heartstrings in ways he never expected. Back at the office, rumors begin to swirl. Employees notice James' erratic behavior, his cancelled meetings, his hasty exits, the dark circles under his eyes. Speculation runs rampant. Is the company in trouble? Is James losing his grip on leadership? No one knows the real reason, but the whispers grow louder, threatening to spill beyond the confines of the boardroom. James has always prided himself on maintaining a professional facade, but this time the cracks are showing, and he can't seem to patch them up fast enough. As the deadline for the DNA results approaches, the tension reaches a fever pitch. Maria grows increasingly anxious, torn between wanting to protect her children and fearing rejection from the man who could change their lives forever. James, meanwhile, wrestles with conflicting emotions. Part of him wants to dismiss the whole thing as impossible, a cruel twist of fate, but another part can't ignore the growing evidence staring him in the face. Even Eleanor begins to suspect that something bigger is at play. One evening, after finding James pacing the hallway yet again, she confronts him. "What's going on, James?" she asks, her voice trembling. "You're scaring me." For a moment, James considers telling her everything. He opens his mouth, ready to let the words tumble out, but something stops him. How do you explain something so earth-shattering without destroying the foundation of your marriage? So instead, he deflects, promising to talk soon. But the look in Eleanor's eyes tells him he's running out of time. Finally, the day of the DNA results arrives. James sits alone in his study, staring at the envelope containing the answers to all his questions. His hands shake as he reaches for it, hesitating before tearing it open. Inside, the report confirms what Maria had claimed. Samuel, Lucas, and Lily are indeed his biological children. The room spins as the weight of the revelation crashes down on him. He's a father, a real, undeniable father. But what does that mean for his future? For Eleanor? For the family he never planned to have? Just as James processes this bombshell, chaos erupts downstairs. Maria bursts into the house, visibly shaken, clutching a letter in her hand. "They know," she says breathlessly, her voice laced with panic. "Someone sent an anonymous tip to the press. They're coming here." Before James can respond, the sound of car engines fills the air outside. Headlights sweep across the windows as reporters swarm the property, shouting questions and snapping photos. The secret is out, and there's no turning back. With the media closing in and his personal life unraveling before his eyes, James must make a decision. Does he step forward and claim his children publicly, risking everything he's worked for? Or does he retreat, letting the scandal consume him while Maria and the kids bear the brunt of the fallout? As the cameras flash and voices grow louder, James locks eyes with Samuel, who stands defiantly in the doorway, shielding his younger siblings. In that moment, James realizes that some choices leave no room for hesitation. Whatever happens next will define not only his legacy, but also the kind of Menand father he truly is. The chaos outside reaches a deafening pitch as reporters shout questions and cameras flash like strobe lights. James feels the walls closing in, but one look at Samuel's determined face anchors him. In that moment, something shifts inside him. He realizes he can't run from this knot anymore. These are his children, and they need him. Whatever happens next, he has to stand up and face it head on. Taking a deep breath, James steps outside onto the porch, shielding his eyes from the glare of the cameras. The noise dies down slightly as everyone turns their attention to him. For a man who has spent years commanding boardrooms, speaking now feels like stepping off a cliff. But he knows there's no other choice. "I am James Carter," he begins, his voice steady despite the storm raging inside him. "And I want to address the rumors circulating about my family." His words hang in the air, heavy with meaning. Behind him, Maria stands quietly, clutching Lily's hand. While Samuel and Lucas watch intently, James goes on to confirm the truth, that yes, he is the father of 3 children he never knew existed until recently. He doesn't sugarcoat the situation or try to paint himself as blameless. Instead, he takes responsibility, acknowledging both his past mistakes and the unexpected turn his life has taken. "This isn't how I imagined becoming a father," he admits, his voice thick with emotion. "But these are my kids, and I will do everything in my power to be there for them, to give them the love, support, and stability every child deserves. The crowd erupts into murmurs, and the reporters scramble to capture his every word. But James isn't done yet. Turning slightly, he motions for Maria and the children to join him. As they step forward hesitantly, the scene shifts, no longer just a CEO facing scandal, but a man embracing his newfound role as a father. It's raw, imperfect, and deeply human. James introduces each child by name, his voice softening as he talks about them. "This is Samuel, Lucas, and Lily," he says, pride mingling with vulnerability. "They're part of my family now, and I won't let anyone hurt them." Inside the house, Eleanor watches the live broadcast unfold on TV, her heart pounding. She had suspected something was wrong, but nothing could have prepared her for this. Tears stream down her face as she listens to James speak, torn between anger, betrayal, and a flicker of admiration for the courage he's showing right now. When the news cuts to a commercial break, she grabs her coat and rushes out the door, heading straight for the estate. By the time Eleanor arrives, the media frenzy has begun to die down. Security guards usher the last of the reporters away, leaving James, Maria, and the kids standing together under the fading evening light. Eleanor steps out of her car, her presence immediately noticed. James turns to see her, his expression a mix of guilt and hope. Without saying a word, she walks up to him, her eyes searching his. "Why didn't you tell me?" she asks softly, pain evident in her voice. James swallows hard, knowing he owes her the truth. "I wanted to protect you," he says, his voice breaking. "But I realize now that keeping this from you only made things worse." He pauses, looking at the children before meeting Eleanor's gaze again. "These are my kids, Eleanor, and if you'll let me, I want to make this right for all of us." To everyone's surprise, Eleanor doesn't lash out. Instead, she kneels down to meet the kids at eye level, offering them a small smile. "Hi," she says gently. "I'm Eleanor." Her kindness disarms them, and after a moment, Lily shyly waves back. It's a tiny gesture, but it speaks volumes. Seeing this exchange, James feels a glimmer of hope for the first time in days. Over the following weeks, the fallout from the scandal dominates headlines, but James focuses on rebuilding what matters most: his relationships. He hires a lawyer to help formalize custody arrangements with Maria, ensuring she remains an integral part of the children's lives. Though their dynamic is complicated, they find common ground in their shared love for Samuel, Lucas, and Lily. James also dedicates more time to being present for his kids, learning the ropes of parenthood through trial and error. It's messy and challenging, but it's also rewarding in ways he never anticipated. Eleanor, meanwhile, decides to take some time apart to process everything. She loves James, but trust needs to be rebuilt. They agree to attend counseling together, working through the pain and misunderstandings that have surfaced. Slowly but surely, their bond begins to heal, strengthened by open communication and mutual respect. As for the children, they adapt to their new reality with resilience. Samuel starts to lower his guard around James, bonding over shared interests like soccer and video games. Lucas finds comfort in James' quiet moments, recognizing a kindred spirit in his introspective nature. And Lily, ever the optimist, wraps her little arms around James one day and calls him Daddy for the first time. It's a moment that brings tears to his eyes, reminding him why all of this struggle has been worth it. In the end, James learns that family isn't defined by blood, Alone it's built on love, sacrifice, and the willingness to grow. While his journey hasn't been easy, it's taught him invaluable lessons about forgiveness, humility, and the importance of embracing life's surprises. The same holds true for Maria, Eleanor, and even the kids, who discover strength they didn't know they had. The story concludes not with perfection, but with progress. James, Maria, and Eleanor form an unconventional yet supportive co-parenting arrangement, prioritizing the well-being of the children above all else. Together, they navigate the complexities of blending two worlds into one, proving that even in the messiest situations, grace and understanding can prevail. As the final scene fades, viewers are left reflecting on the idea that life rarely follows a script. Sometimes, the most unexpected twists lead to the greatest growth and the deepest connections. For James Carter, once a man who believed he'd never be a father, the journey has been anything but ordinary. But in the end, it's given him something far greater than success, a family.